Wasn't that just great to see? The Blues getting a great win over the Maroons. I was hoping for, what did I say, 22-10 to the Blues. I did tip the Maroons though, just because that's just how I play it. Usually, especially at home in Suncorp. Yeah, unless I think it's a clear landslide victory for the Blues, which this one was. And just wanted to go through a little bit of the fantasy ramifications coming out of that, and then go through a host of the private group teams and where their squads are at, and moving into round 13, 14, and 15 there. Now for the Blues, they were absolutely dominant in this one. Can't believe they went 9 from 4 on the conversions, but they were all from the sideline from Cleary, and then very, very close for Lomax in that one, which was interesting that he didn't end up missing that one after how well he played. And look at Cleary there with a beautiful 88 fantasy points. Now, for them, I actually think this team stays exactly the same. There's no reason to change it at all. Pretty much everyone was available, and guys like Hudson Young, Max King came out and played really well. So I don't expect any changes from them. The big news from them is Payne Haas, and he played awesome. Did not look hampered at all by his quad. And look, if he backs up this week, we have a lot of mids. And it's crazy how many, with Couchman coming back as well, I'm holding on to him. I'm sitting there with like 5 top tier mids, and Couchman can play edge, which is great. Clark can play up at hooker as well. So trades becomes really interesting this week as well, and we'll factor that into the teams that we do look at. But Payne Haas, looking in, let's just say you don't play him next week, he scores a 52 or something, and you don't take that, and the other guys score better, or he scores a 48, whatever it is, plays near 50 minutes. But if he's playing near 50 minutes this week, then you'll probably expect a better than 1 ppm, which is what he has. Now, even if he doesn't play this week, round 14 is a chance for him to get a ton. And do you want that missing from your side? That's going to be the question with him. So I think he looked unhampered last night, and if that's the case and he's all good, we weren't looking at selling him. Yes, he's going to, he's missed 12 already. He's going to miss 15. He's going to miss 18, definitely, along with 20. Is it a chance for you to move him on? Our mids are already flying. There's so many of them. Edges are pretty good as well. Is that the opportunity to leave him out of your side and move forward from that one? Now, To'o got the sin bin for those that didn't watch. It's the only reason he had lower minutes. Barnett, you should expect him to back up. I thought Robson was great. Great to see Isaiah Yeo just run the footy. And just every single one of these players played really, really well. So excited. Great to see. Even Moses, when he got the footy, he at least attacked the line, running it, which was great. And everyone else did an awesome job. So I expect the majority of them to back up this weekend. I think the stats are sitting there like mid 70% that they usually back up, but there was no real clear niggles apart from whacks to the face, to be fair, in this one. Now for Queensland, looking to round 15 for us in fantasy, that's where I think there could be a few changes in this squad. I'm also a little bit frustrated with my trade-in of Garrick, actually, because DCE is not looking good at all, and that's who's going to be feeding him ball for Manly. So hopefully it puts a rocket up him and he starts playing a little bit better, because he went missing last night, unfortunately, and that's a position that could be changed as well. So just be aware of that. I think Toya, Hammer, they'll both be very safe. Coates as well. Fullback, unsure. Val Holmes, unsure. So just be aware when you're looking at guys to trade in. Are they in the frame for Origin? If you're holding someone like Corey Horsburgh, I think there could be a change in this forward pack. Yes, he misses 15 anyway, but if you're looking at potentially holding him for 18, then there's that chance for him to make the side here. Does Dearden come into 7? Do they pick a different 14? Does Beau Fermor start? He only played limited minutes at 17. Trent Liero, does he make the side again next round? I'm not sure. I thought Lindsay Collins is really solid in his time out there. So, we know he's can be a match winner for this squad. So just looking into those players, and you'll likely see some changes for Queensland compared to what you're likely to see from the Blues, which we're always a team usually that is making changes. And it's great to see that it's going to be the other guys, the Queenslanders that are likely going to have to make changes there. Now we are going to go through some teams. Firstly, we're going through the Smitty's Lads and Legends, and he emailed me. He did actually make a couple of trades straight up, which was Halasima to Like and King Tonga. I think I mentioned in the group that I think I'd prefer him to go to Latu Fainu. Now, there's no cheapies this week, and King Tonga is one that he's fine. But when there's not a lot of guys in our squads that can easily be moved on from, he's a guy there that could be moved on from, because he's unlikely to go and hit a score of 45 plus that is going to excite us dramatically. So I think going to Latu Fainu would be the play here, knowing that he's a very, very high chance of coming into that starting side in the halves when he's fit in the next couple of weeks, and taking the spot that the Galvin's left, and Heath Mason won't be likely that guy pushing forward, and he'll be there to cover like he has been at fullback as well. So Latu would probably be the play there. And his other trade was Egan to Kolomatangi. So awesome. Love that on that one. So if he drops that one down to Latu, then he's sitting there with pretty close to 200k available, which is good for his squad. Now, if we're looking overall at the team, we have a lot of good players. Like wing fullback is really well set up, so I think that's a massive win, mate, on that one. He had a really good round 12 as well. 818 was the rank for that one. 5,300 overall, which is a decent spot as well. Now, sitting there with Isaiah Yeo, he probably does back up, and I think you hold for the week. You don't have, Couchmans or these types of guys. A lot of that money has been spent down here in wing fullback. In terms of outs this week, you've only got Farnworth sitting there, so you can do a loop in that centre position, it looks like, with Tamale, Purdue, and Katonga, which is something. So always look to who plays first. Put your looper for that one. With the first game guys, we have Fletcher Sharp, we have Lucas as guys that you could loop with. But in this scenario here, it's just that centre position. And I think you're likely going to be taking Katonga. Seems to be the best scorer right now. Purdue we know could do well, and he's up against the Tigers, so that needs to be kept in mind. I think Tamale is probably going to be the least likely to take in this side. Got May as captain. Overall, looking towards the next few weeks, if we're pushing towards round 15, Kolomatangi will play in the midsection. So you are going to need another edge, likely for round 15 there, with your centre position being locked up with Farnworth and Lucas. It could be locked up with Purdue, so maybe you don't need that extra edge. But if you are thinking about someone like Aiken, I don't think you need to do it this week. And I think Colo is going to be a good trade-in. Leaves you with 14 trades. You've got Campbell already. Very well set for wing fullbacks down there. Got Jazz Tavanga in the side, so pretty well structured across the board. And just looking to adapt if any injuries and all that kind of stuff arises over the next few weeks there. So that's his squad there, and a big thanks to him for throwing that one in. Okay, the first person to reply to me, I get people to give you the private group ranking and where they're at, but Hayden's actually jumped in first, so shout out to Haydos there. He's 28th in the private group and sitting at 261 overall. Now, Hayden's a crusher, right? This is our beautiful legend that finished 9th overall last year, so he's moving into a good spot here at 261 overall. Now his side there, he's making the one trade so far, which is Starling to Aiken, leaving me with 11 trades and 28k in the bank. So this is for the video. Appreciate your thoughts. Okay, for this side, Starling gone, beautiful. All right, down here, holding on to Naf White. And the big thing this week, guys, is really centered around these lower to mid-range type of players. Now with Toya, he's going to be sticking in that Queensland side now, so he's one you can hold for the week. You could loop next week if you like, but he's sitting there with currently 4 Roosters in the side. So if Naf White's going to stick in your side, Hayden, I would look to move Toya on. Probably next week. If you want to do it this week, that's fine, but you do have, with Naf White, with Farnworth, with Hines, AFB, you do have lots of loopers this week across the board. So in that situation, if you're in that spot, guys, with that many loopers, then you don't exactly have to trade too heavy. Like Hayden's thinking there, he's just bringing in Starling to this side there. He's got Kartonga to play in at centre if he likes. He can loop with Purdue, Rob Toya as well, if he's holding on this week. Has Payne Haas on the bench there, who can cover the mids as a looper this week with with Terrell May to come back into that side for AFB. Cleary will come back in. Hopefully he does back up. It looks like he won't play in 16, so you'd imagine this next 2 weeks will be very important for him. In the wing fullback position, it's a spot very similar to myself, Hayden, that will need a little bit of work over the next few weeks. You've got Fletcher Sharp and Nwangani Tawaze, which is great, but just thinking about next week with him missing will be important. And when you're not sitting there with guys like Tamale in the side, the wing fullback will be a spot next week that you'll have to improve upon. So maybe Yongi is ready to go next week, but you've got, you can't go for Teddy. You've got guys like Trinky that can be a play for you. And also, I think Jaden Campbell's going to be pretty important for this side over the next couple of weeks. So have a look at your Roosters and where they fit into your side. As I said, he's got 4 in the team and does need at least one wing fullback next week. And Yongi, it won't be a sell because unless he's bringing in 2 wing fullbacks, he will have to stay in the side for next week, which should generally be fine, but he has a couple of tougher matchups there. So that's all I'd really say on your team, Hayden. Well done on that one. All right, Mr. Cookie. Let's see, 54th. See, I shouldn't give Cookie advice because he's in the podcasters league and he's actually beating me, sadly. So let's go and fix that one up. That's weird. Why doesn't it let you scroll down on the other one? That is a strange one. All right, where is he? He's just ahead of me, isn't he? 54th. Far out. Not that far in front of me. He's in far in front of me. 847. Yeah, he's smashing me. So why should I be helping here? He's thinking of Yo to Aiken, Toya to and Keon. So Keon and Aiken coming in for Yo and Toya. He'd like to target Drinky, JC, plus a Burton over the next couple of weeks, but mightn't be able to get all 3. Might have to settle with no JC. Yeah, he did DM me as well, and what I was looking at there was round 15, and he was worried about getting a really, really good side on the park in round 15. I think he was missing probably a half at this stage with Fogarty in the side missing. Naff White sitting still there hoping to come back and do some good things. He's got AFB, he's got Tavanga for that spot already. Colo coming in for mid as well. So I was just saying to him, if you're going to be holding Haas, Cleary, Fogarty, Tamale, Yo's being traded out, looks like. I think you could hold him if you want, but if you're ready to get Keon and Aiken, they are your South boys as well, then that works well. But Hosking as well, Tarpanay. With all those guys, there's so many players that are on the bye that week or in Origin that are so high valued. You're sitting with near 6 million on the bench. So if you do want to have a super strong round 15 team, then you will have to give up one of those guys. If you're okay to give up a few points in round 15, then you are going to be benefiting with having all those guys. Having Payne Haas on your side in round 16, 17, if he backs up, is going to be awesome. Having Cleary there ready to go is going to be awesome. Terrell May was the other one, $1 million on the sideline in round 15. So if you are going to keep the expensive guys who can come out and do really well for you, you have to sacrifice something. And that's where probably sacrificing one position in half for him in this scenario is going to be the correct play. And if you want to make that one extra trade, he's sitting there with 14 trades left before this week. So, if he drops the 2, gets him down to 12, that's fine. He uses another couple. There's going to be probably an injury or something anyway that can force you to go for that position that you are struggling with. And hopefully it's to someone that doesn't affect round 15 for you. And, it is Hosking or something like that. You could sell them in round 15 if it suits your team. He has a 37 in him apparently as well. So that's all the stuff to think about if this is where you're currently set up. All right. Where are we? Okay, let's go to Liam. He's at 315th in the private group. The poor fella. I've been in contact with him a few times in the last couple of weeks. So, Mr. Liam, let's get in and help you. So, what's crazy is 315 in the private crew and only 14,000. So, tricky week for most of us, I think, with lots of good options, he says, but only 13 able to play. Yes, 187 bank, 14 trades. I'm wondering if I should just hold trades or get Keon this week. I was considering just holding and seeing if we get any injuries for next week, then try to get Keon then. Pretty good spot, he thinks, for round 15 with 13 already, an extra wing fullback, centre or half, but need likely a mid or an edge. However, may not want to play Hubner. What are your thoughts? Okay, just straight up overall, 14,000 means this is a really good opportunity in a good time period to start making some moves. Now, 14 trades isn't anything special. It's a little bit better than where I am, but just on the face of it, without looking too far ahead at where you're at here with captaincy and stuff, it seems like, ended up captaining Adam Fanua-Blake, which in a week like this, it didn't matter too much, and he was a decent option, but not having someone like Aaron Clark has hurt him a little bit. Now, looking to the interchange, sitting there with Campbell already, Couchman, Cleary, Haas, and May. Really, really good spot to chuck those guys back in. Now, if you are looking to improve, he does have a really good centre and wing fullback at the moment. Adding in Campbell to that, a really, really good situation. And now hopefully he can plug in that back three, plug in those two centres. Lucas is up in edge, which is great. And Campbell can go straight into the half position. Now, Hubner for you, mate, is a spot where I think you're going to want to upgrade that for round 15. The goal for you now is to try and push as quickly into the top 10k as possible over the next few rounds and build some momentum to push you towards that top 7, 6, 5k and go from there. And now, who are the guys that are going to be able to do that? Horsburgh, a little bit under what you want from guys like Keon, and he will be a sell. Riley Smith could be a sell over the next few weeks to try and improve that position with Keon. Aiken can be a decent spot for you in the edge position. Right now, Couchman's going to play mid. You will need another edge anyway to cover. So Lucas could stay up there. That's completely fine. And you're probably going to want Aitken at some point as well. Now, the question this week's going to be, is Horsburgh the guy to move on to one of those players? You've got Burton sitting there that can help in 15, which is good. And Jenkins and Piakura. So you got a couple of guys there. Hubner, Piakura, Jenkins, Horsburgh, that are likely to leave your side in the next few weeks, along with Savala. Now, the question this week is, do you try to improve your team a little bit? Do you do some looping with Payne Haas? Guys like Tavanga, guys like Horsburgh in that position there. Couchman, you definitely do a loop there. I think you can just loop with Edge or mid with him, but Edge I think is a good one. So you don't actually have to make the moves this week. Someone like Latu Fainu could work really well for your side. In that scenario, you could trade down Jenkins or Piakura to Latu Fainu and then go up with Hubner and pretty well sideways with Horsburgh to two of those guns that we spoke about in Keon and in Aiken. Two really, really good additions to this side. Already got Adam Fanua-Blake for your Shark mid. So those couple of guys there will do a really, really good job for you. And it doesn't have to be this week. You could do some looping to start the week and then actually decide from that one what you want to do there. All right. I think that was helpful. Thanks, guys. All right. Back down to 78th in this one for Matty Boy. All right. The JBFA, we've got to give love to the crew. 8-13, was the score, and 13.44 overall. So very, very close to me. 13 trades left after making 2. White to Colo, Halasima to Jazz. I want JC, but I'm thinking of waiting a week and can hopefully do Savala or Tamale to JC. 313 in the bank after this week's 2 trades. At the moment, I only think I need a mid for round 15. Well, in that scenario, you're pretty similar to me with having that ability to trade one of those 2 guys up. If you want, you can go Tamale to JC this week. Holding off is completely fine too. And I actually don't know where I'm going to go with my trades this week. If I'm looking to upgrade a Tamale to JC or wait the one more week with him up against the Storm. But the other 2 trades seem really fair. If you're not too fussed on Nafahu White for round 15, if you're not that keen on having him in your team, then I completely understand that. As a trade out this week, that works well. Otherwise, going one of those, Savala or Tamale straight up to a JC this week as your second trade instead could be the play if you want to hold on to White. But I do think that Jazz is pretty important for round 15 hooker. And, Colo's the play that everyone is going for. And he did captain Isaiah Katoa last week. So a nice little point of difference guy for him in that one. Now, in terms of the squad in general, it's very, very similar to a lot. I think the wing fullback position, awesome. Centre, absolutely flying. Got Fletcher Sharp in interchange as well. So this half centre wing fullback is not a spot that needs to be improved. Don't have Hosking at the moment, so that works really well. I think adding to that edge position is where you have been lacking, and that's where the good addition there of Colo for this week is great. And then Jazz for that round 15 hooker. So build up to, I think, Colo and Aiken are really, really good build up guys for you. With the rest of the team, half, centre and wing fullback, absolutely set. So Riley Smith, he can be moved on eventually there. You've got Aaron Clark and Jazz now, so that's a great coverage position. And then down below, Halasima's moving on. Purdue and Tamale you can decide over the next few weeks. And Jackson helps a little bit more than a few of those other guys. All right, Greg the Leg sitting 18th in the private crew, flying Gregory, as we know you do. The Bunker Brawlers. Really good score last week, 805 into 159th overall. 123 in the bank, 13 trades. Thinking of looping Couch using Egan, or I could sell Egan to Colo and play Colo and Couch in my edges and sit out Hosking. Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? With still hanging on to Egan is trying to loop in that position, given you've only got Farnworth. This week's interesting, isn't it? When you've got Couchman, you've got Payne Haas. I think that Couch is an easy one to loop. And I think if he ends up in the starting side, or if we think he's going to play decent minutes, then I think holding Egan one more week just to have a looper will work well. And if you're not too stressed about Colo going up in cash, and I think that does work for your side there, given you've only got the one looper. Now, if you had more than one, and you had one already, like a Nafahu Wide or something like that, in that mid or that edge position, or an AFB, like something like that, the guy was out, then I would suggest making that Egan trade. But I think you can wait. It's just a shame that he is in Couchman's team and plays first, so you can't actually loop. Could also go Egan and Horse to Colo and Aiken. We'll still need an edge and mid for round 15 if I made these trades, which you do anyway. And you'll work there over the next few weeks. Hosking and Tamale, possible trade outs as I have 5 Raiders at the moment. Appreciate any advice. Yeah. What I was saying with the other guys there, that over the next few weeks, guys like Horsburgh will be a move on. Guys like Riley Smith sitting there on the bench, not as good half centre wing fullback as the squad we just looked at with Matty, but is pretty strong up top, pretty strong across the board. Has Haas, Campbell, Couch, Cleary, May all sitting on the bench, from last week there, and then Egan can be turned into any of those guns. So this week with having Couch and Haas, which not every team has. Some people sold Haas, a lot of people sold Couch. With those good scorers there that can do a job if Couchman or that doesn't, then completely fine to hold those guys, definitely. Now, the centre position is probably one for you to look at this week. I suppose Campbell goes to wing fullback, doesn't he? Couchman for edge. So yeah, there's a fair bit you can do, and I think it's probably smart to use Egan as that looper this week if you want to, and if things get a bit interesting, get a bit hairy, then someone like Tamale could be used as a trade guy this week with 120 odd K. He could go to Aiken if Couchman doesn't go that well for the edge. You could go Tamale out, Katonga back to centre, JC up, and bring in Aiken for Tamale if all goes a bit pear-shaped this afternoon. Tonight. I think that's probably a fun way to look at it. Also got Lukey Boy ranked 94th, 13 trades left. Okay, let's get to that one. 94th. Let's go. Lukey Boy. All right, 1,679 overall. 831 last week. Really, really good week. 13 trades left with 530K in the bank. Thinking of bringing Colo, Aiken, and Campbell Well, with that cash in the bank, I think I'll be short a mid or two for round 15. Thank you. Yeah, well, Colo definitely is going to help with that. How's the squad looking? And again, guys, as we go along, I'll spend less and less time on these teams because hopefully if you're waiting to hear about your team or if you're trying to compare this team to others, a lot are fairly similar and decisions can be made on your team based on what you've heard in the others. So the advice should get shorter and shorter per team. Now, the only kind of difference here, we're looking at a few mid-ranges. Rob Toya, Brimson, Purdue, Tamale. That 4, along with guys like Riley Smith, Savala, are all guys to have a look at. Wong is 604. Feels like a hold given he helps those positions there. Now, if you're bringing in Colo, Aiken and Campbell, how you would do that with that much cash in the bank, it's not too hard. And I think you could just cut ties with some of those guys. Like if you're looking at Brimson as more of a wing fullback for your side, he has the exact same situation as JC. So to going Brimson to JC straight up, perfect. Now, Toya, he's definitely going to be in Origin from here on in. If he's not, that means he's injured. So he's an easy sell, those two guys. And then you can make a decision if you like on someone like Tamale. Is he going to be a guy that you want out? Do you want to have one of those guys for looping, for a spare tire, a helpful man for next week for Tedesco? That might be the thought there with someone like Tamale, just to not sell this week. Purdue, I think, is a wait and watch because he could be a really good guy to look at, and Toya might be the guy that moves on for you. Is that second and third guy. So have a look at that. Who would be the third, actually? And that's the thing, like, do you do 2 this week or 3? If you feel like you don't need Wong, like if you're fairly well, you're going to, Purdue, you might be locked into leaving Lucas up in edge and maybe you don't need Wong if you're getting Aiken. So he could be the third guy, but also think that it's an easy hold this week and wait and see. So, yeah, could go a couple of different ways, Luke, but the amount of cash available, like Savala, you could go that 1 week early maybe and use him as that extra mover there. If Cleary locks in and plays, then maybe it's Savala, Toya, and Brimson. Seems pretty cool. Seems pretty good. All right, let's do a few more. Actually, I need to get to start. People that sent in first, eh? A lot of people did. I won't be able to get to everyone's, guys, each and every week, so sorry about that in advance. All right, what do we got? Okay. Gianni, let's help him out. 305 in the private group. Barber, Black Sheep. God. 12.8, 2.6, so 12,800. 749 last week. Captain Clark, good boy. 14 trades left, 26k in the bank. Looking at Colo, JC, Drinky, and Jazz over the next few weeks. Flicking some Roosters, Raiders, and Riley Smith over the next few. Okay. All right. Out of 12k. Okay, we've got Brimson, Ponga, Savala, King Tonga. Centre wing fullback, looking fine. Half still got Sen and Smith, so he could be used, I think, as well. A very easy guy to move on with not much cash in the bank. So if you're looking to build up to all those guys, we may have to enter into Latu Fainu territory, I think, because a lot of your more expensive players, you're not going to be wanting to sell. And, Horsburgh could be one of those guys. Do you use him this week to go to Kolamatangi straight up? Do you sell some guys down below, whether it's Tamale, Brimson? If you're done with Ponga, I don't really like the sell of Ponga, but could be done. So maybe someone like Horse is trade bait there. But I think you're probably only likely going to be able to get 2 up, 1 down at the moment if using the 3 trades. JC, just over Drinky probably. Yeah, if you want to get the other guys. Jazz could be an easy one. I think you probably do the straight swap with one of these cheaper guys to Jazz this week. Drinky and JC not 100% needed this week, so maybe they wait. It could be like Jazz and Kolamatangi this week if you wanted to make an upgrade there, with just not a heap of cash available is kind of the painful one. So that's where Horsburgh would probably need to be used. Santa Smith, yeah, just not a heap you could do without doing the dirty downgrade to Latu Fainu, I think, with that Gianni, or it is Brimson and Horsburgh to Colo and Jastavanga this week. All right, let's go to Caleb. I don't help him too much. He's 35th. Just do a couple more, I reckon. I think that's a lot. Otherwise, it gets a bit too long, this video. It just doesn't seem to be as well watched as the others, even though there's a lot of strategy in it. Now for Caleb. We'll finish here, actually. 35 in private group, 14 trades remaining, 314 in the bank. Traded Haas last week, possibly Colo Aiken for Tamale and Horse. Aim to grab JC plus Fainu next couple of weeks, and solve hooker issues later. Yeah, I just don't think there's a lot of decent round 15 hooker options. So I personally would, in this side, would grab Tavanga this week. Did it last week. I think it was a good pick last week, and it still is a good one there. And having cash in the bank could make it really, really easy for you. And then you may not have to go Fainu if you don't want to, given you already traded the big dog out. When you've got Hubners, Savalas, Drinky's there, so wing fullback fairly well set this week. When you've got Horsburgh, like, you could do a couple of those trades pretty comfortably this week. Savali could hold for some more cash and then move on next week. Like, that's the thing with the 13 players, guys. You don't have to push all these moves now, and that's why I haven't really suggested more than 2 trades for, I think, most of these teams. 0, 1, 2 should be the play this week. I don't think, unless you somehow got a lot of injuries or outs, but I don't think that's most people, that 0, 1 or 2 is the correct play here. And with Caleb, yeah, like Colo and Aiken, Tamale and Horse, yes, they're upgrades. With 14 trades left, I think it's fine. If you're sitting with like under 12, I'm at 12 right now myself, and that's why I'm like, oh, do I actually want to do more than 1 or 2 trades this week? Probably not. So I'd suggest the same with a lot of your teams as well. And yeah, Tavanga probably this week would be my call for you, Caleb, and I think we'll leave it there. Hope that helped a lot of you guys with your sides. If they're similar, most of them are similar in some way. We've all got slightly different team values and slightly different trades left, and majority of the guys we want are all fairly similar. There's, sort of a top 3 or 4 in each position, top 1 in hooker for round 15. So you're building as much as you can to those guys without going too early, without copying too many injuries, all that kind of stuff. So tune in tomorrow morning, guys, for my trades video. We've got a late first game this week, 8 p.m. Friday night. Hopefully everyone backs up. Maybe I'm putting this out in a few hours, so you might have some more information on guys backing up. Hopefully everyone does, and we're all sweet, and it doesn't ruin this video. Thanks, guys. See ya.